Hello lovely people, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all well. The weather has suddenly shifted outside. It's been chucking it down all day and now the bright sunshine is here. Way, just way. But enough of me and my weather problems. Today we're here to talk all things Chorus Line, currently touring in the UK. By the time this video goes up there's not much left of the tour, but I still wanted to make the video. So if you want to know all my thoughts and feelings about the show, stick around and we'll get into it in 2 whole seconds. So let's get into it. If you don't know me and you don't know about everything that I do on this channel, long story short, for every show that I see I try and do 2 separate videos, one talking about content warnings, sensory warnings and my experience seeing a show, and then this one is when I talk my thoughts, my feelings and everything in between. So if you missed the last video, check it out afterwards. You don't have to watch it before, they work side by side. I have to say that A Chorus Line is another one of those shows which I probably should have seen earlier than this. I feel like over the last couple of years, or especially like since COVID, there is a multitude of shows that are being toured or put on which I probably should have seen way earlier in my life than at the age of like 32, 33. Chorus Line being one of those shows. I knew nothing about it going in. However, as the show progressed, I was like, okay, I know this song. Okay, I know this song too. And that kind of just made me a little bit like, I'm happy seeing the show, I'm enjoying it. If, like me, you've never seen the show before, let's do a little bit of a backstory, if you will. This show is a 1-act, 1 hour 50-ish, depending on who you ask, minute show, which basically is set in a audition space in America. Not the current time, I want to say it's like 80s, judging by fashion, but I could be wrong. And they are all trying to get into the chorus of a show, to be in the chorus line, if you will, and they are prompted into telling their own stories by the director who is choosing who to cast. So this show has a book by James Kirkwood and Nicholas Dante, music by Marvin Hamlish and lyrics by Edward Kleban. Probably pronouncing that correctly, but what are you gonna do? I can't pronounce names at the best of times. This production began its life at the Curve in Leicester, home to many a good musical, may I add, and that's not just because 2 of my closest friends are from Leicester. So the direction at point, if you will, is by Nikolai Foster. I enjoyed the way that this show is done. It's set and its work on stage is simplistic but in the best way possible. The one thing that I was kind of unsure about, and I don't know if unsure is the right word, but there were a few moments throughout the show where there was use of a handheld camera, and I don't personally think it needed that element. Obviously each theatre this show has gone to is different, and I don't know if it's because certain places the auditorium is so large that you can't see faces, so when that moment needs to be portrayed on the stage it can be seen. But I don't know why it was chosen to be used when it was used, but I didn't see the point of it. It's my opinion, and we all have them. The choreography of the show has been created by Ellen Kay. It was very lovely to watch, especially in group moments. I love a large ensemble dance moment at the best times, and the ones in this show were done absolutely excellently. The set of this show, which I kind of already mentioned, is by Grace Smart. Like I said, it was simple but so effective. It basically took on the look of a backstage space, or a space that is pretty much empty. There was a few mirrors towards the back of the performing space, if you will. There was like a American style bleacher to the one side, and on the other side there was what can seem to be like a little back wall, but when turned around it produced the band, which was a nice place to put the band, I have to say. Especially when they were like turned and shown off a little bit, but then turned back because you can't see the band all the time. It's just rude. I also thought that the set worked really well alongside the lighting design, which was done by Howard Hudson. I think I've also mentioned already during this video, but if not, I definitely mentioned it in my last one. The lighting in the show is very much there. There is a lot of lights for this production, sometimes a little bit bold and a bit bright, but altogether really well utilised. Moving on to the cast, they were an extremely talented ensemble group. If I had time and I could, I would mention absolutely everyone, but I always just like to mention a few little people that I enjoyed. So firstly, I was going to mention Zach, who is the director of this play within a play, if you will, who is deciding who's going to be in his chorus line. They are played by Adam Cooper. The role of Zach is very much like a puppet master. He is drawing out all these stories out of the people who were just here to audition to be in a show, singing and dancing. And it's a really clever and really interesting part to watch, especially as in this production he's kind of moving around the auditorium space in the theatres, or at least he was in my theatre. I'm assuming in every theatre that they've done it, he is also doing the same. So he's kind of working both sides, if you will, because he is being on the stage with them and showing what he expects from them from that, but also kind of comes out into the audience with his microphone to ask his questions. So he's also kind of part of the audience. It's just very clever, and I enjoyed it once I knew what was going on, because initially I just heard a voice and I couldn't see the man, and it was very confusing. There were a couple of moments when I didn't enjoy that character though, and those moments were any that were his work alongside the character of Cassie, but that was just like end of a relationship kind of fight back situation. Yeah, moving on, let's get into Cassie. Cassie is played by the one, the only Carly Mercedes Dyer. I don't have to say more, because if you've seen my channel before, you know how much I adore the human being that is Carly Mercedes Dyer, and once again it was a joy to see her perform. It felt like I saw a different side to Carly this time because of the kind of role that Cassie is. I have to say I don't think I've fully seen her dance before, so that was really cool to witness. And yeah, I love her. She can do no wrong, and I stand by that. Jocasta Amgill played the role of Diana Morales, who is again a joy to watch. The role of Diana gets the glorious song What I Did for Love, and Jocasta did it absolutely amazingly. And the other person I wanted to mention was Manuel Pacific. Now that person takes on the role of Paul San Marco. The reason I wanted to mention this person is because throughout the entire show, every time somebody tells their story, it's done through song pretty much. Like we have the one that sings because they can't, about the fact they can't sing. There's the song where they're talking about the fact that they were perceived as ugly and therefore they got all this work done so that they were aesthetically pleasing to the people who were going to try and book them, and they talked about the fact they didn't have tits. You know, we have those kind of stories. Then you get Paul's story that comes towards the end of the show. He is one of the last few stories told. It is literally just Paul and Zach on the stage as Paul recounts his entire story. He kind of starts it with the entire ensemble cast on the stage, but he is unable to finish, and so the character of Zach brings him back. So it's just the two of them in the room, and during Paul's story it is literally Paul pretty much at the front of the stage and the character of Zach towards the back listening. And if you've not seen the show before, Paul's story is at times quite harrowing, and as his story continues there is different things that happen, and I just felt through the entirety of that story I was literally listening to every single word, should I say, of what that character of Paul was saying, and it was portrayed so brilliantly by Manuel. And I just really enjoyed that moment of the show because it just felt like nothing else that happened in the show, but that it still had the need to be there. I don't think I'm explaining it right, but I liked that moment. It's the moment that's kind of stuck with me the most since I left the auditorium. Overall, I really enjoyed this show. There were things that I was just like, I don't understand. For example, pretty much the use of the camera, especially when the person who uses the camera is the character of Larry, who's kind of like the right-hand man to Zach, the director, who had the most beautiful lines. I'm probably using the dancing jargon incorrectly, but I've recently become really obsessed with watching ballet things on YouTube, so what are you gonna do? But I just, when the person who plays Larry, who is, give me 2 seconds, Ashley Jordan Packer, when they had their chance to shine, it was really a joy to watch, and I just wish that there was less camera time and more dancey time. But that's just personal preference. Like I said, it may work better in different spaces than it did where we were, or maybe other people thought the same. I don't know. I'm very much stuck in my ways when it comes to the use of cameras in theatre productions. I kind of just feel like it takes away from the action more than it puts into the action. But hey ho, I really enjoyed my experience of seeing Chorus Line. I would 100% recommend seeing this show if you are able to get a ticket before the tour closes. It closes in High Wycombe. Its run there is between the 30th of September and the 5th of October, which I think is just right for when I edit and upload this video. When I saw it, there was 3 stops left, and I think by the time it goes to like publish, or this video goes to publish, it's on its final week. So yeah, so hopefully everything goes to plan and that's what happens. But go and check it out if you can. It is an incredible cast telling a great story, and it was a really nice night at the theatre. But all that's left to say is the usual. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, then tell your friends. Why not? I didn't know how to finish that sentence. And now all that's left to say is the usual. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. I went a bit handsy then. See you later. Bye.